For those of you who are joining us for the first time, CWS is about having conversations with people about their journey and how they're using their gifts and talents to help others. How are they making a positive contribution to humanity? So every week, I invite someone to share their story with us because I believe we are never more connected than when we share our stories, not just to glorify our successes, but to share some of our challenges and how we might have overcome them. Sherry Dixon. Sherry, the question was, when you speak to women about beauty, what is the underlying message?
First of all, love yourself. When you speak to yourself, because beauty is more than just the outer skin. So let me start with the mind. Nobody can see the outer skin if your mind is telling you to insult your body, insult you. So when you look at your face and you go, I don't. I don't like my nose, and I don't like my ears. My ears is too big, and I don't like my lips. They're too full, or I don't like this, and I don't like that. It's okay to not like it, but the fact is, when you're insulting the rest of you, what about saying, "I love my breasts. I love my face. I love my lips. Oh, I love my skin." What about the things that you love? Why not say that first? Say that first, and then say, well, maybe I could have had your nose, or maybe I could have had your lips, but I really love what I've got. I love my bottom. I love the fact that I walk and sway. All those things are things that are part of beauty. Can I remind women of that? It's not just about the lipstick and the eyeshadow and the hair. Because if you take those things away, what are you left with? Just a plain body. So learn to look at yourself. And I'm saying this to women, but men are the same. Stop talking about your big toe and that's the only thing you concentrate on. What about your great arms? What about your strength, the power of your voice? All those things are part of beauty. And then, ladies, when we then go into the beauty side of it, every one of us really need to understand how to, well, we need to understand our skin. Because if you don't understand your skin, how do you know what to put on it? Do you have dry? Do you have oily? Or do you have combination skin? And why are you asking a beautician to tell you about that when you live with your skin all the time? Wash your face, don't put anything on it. And if it's screaming and it's tight and feed me, it's dry. If it's pouring with oil after 5 minutes, then it's oily. And if you've got half oil and half dry, then you've got combination skin. It's as simple as that. Try to not keep on using too much oil on your skin because it needs water and oil, water inwardly and water bearing properties. So really keep away from, especially women of color, because we get spots. When we get spots, it leaves dark marks. Then they go off using the bleaching cream, which women, may I tell you, has it's half of them are not tested and they contain lead in it, which then goes into the bloodstream and then it gives you poisoning, liver and kidney poisoning, which will eventually give you impairment and other illnesses. So stop using bleaching creams. Be who you are, love the skin you are, love the color you are, because somebody gave that to you. It's in your DNA, coming back from your grandmother to your mother. So stop, or your father. We mustn't leave them out. Because they weren't just donors. We are who we are. Love you. Love who you are. But start with putting inspirational and empowerment things in your mind. Like today is a beautiful day and I'm happy. I'm happy. Why am I happy? I'm happy because I'm alive. I'm happy because I slept well last night. You know, learn to say thank you. When somebody tells you you look good, stop shying away. He's telling me I'm pretty. He's trying to make. If somebody tells you you're pretty, say thank you. If you want to, you can say thank you. I know if you're faced enough to do that, but just say thank you. Acknowledge that you have something because you're not born with a horn in your head, a hoof on your back. So if you're not born with those things, then you're darn right pretty.
You have been successful as an editor, a journalist, and public speaker. What or who do you credit for your success?
Along the way, first of all, when I was an executive assistant and I was working in PR, and I would honestly say it was my boss who spotted my ability to communicate well with people of all levels because the people I was looking after was top level people who were paying the PR company money to brand them to basically and give them positive press. So we were always having dinners and having to put on events for them. And I had the ability to calm down the most annoyed CEO of any company. So I learned from my boss at that time that I had great strength and the ability to make everybody feel at ease with themselves. And then he was the one who told me that when he was retiring, why don't you go into beauty? And I was like, listen, I'm married and I got two children. I gotta pay the bills. What do you mean go into beauty? How am I gonna do that? He says, well, I think you'd be good at it. I think you should consider it. And I remembered when they gave me a check when I was leaving that firm, and it was they paid for my course to go off and do beauty. And for that, I'm forever humble to Kenneth Turnbull for that. And then I went off to do beauty. And while I was doing beauty, I learned about my strength again because you're having to learn. Beauty wasn't something that you learned just like that. I didn't realize that you almost needed a nurse's certificate to do beauty because you have to understand using electrical equipment on bodies and how to massage people that you didn't know, how to make up your own potions and not give people a rash. Oh, it was just so hard work. But I realized that was my strength. Again, it was communicating with people, making them feel at ease. And I remembered one when I decided to use, when I did PR, I obviously did journalism. And I remembered when I was doing, I was at my desk and I remembered looking in the paper and I was reading a black newspaper in England and I was reading the Daily Mail, which is for everybody. And I remembered thinking, there's nothing in this black paper for me. How do I know what to do? How do I know? How do I know this? What am I eating? What is? I thought they'd do it a little bit more cultural. And I rang up the editor and I said, I want my money back. I want my money back. And she must have thought some mad woman's on the phone. And she said, and I told her, she said, well, if you can do it better, why don't you? And you know that motto came about. I can and I will, and I did. And I made up. I chose a darker skinned girl, friend of mine, and I made her up with all the bright colours like green and yellow and funky colours. And then I produced the picture. I produced the picture and the words to go with it. And that was the beginning of my journalistic career. Then I got calls from the bigger magazines like Cosmopolitan. Even though I might have only got a little teeny weeny mention, they quoted me quite often and they would always ring me and quote me. And then I was in Black Hair, I was now the beauty expert for Black Hair magazine. As I said, BBC Radio London would call, all these people were now calling, and suddenly I was on the to get list. And then Pride magazine called me and asked me would I be their beauty editor, and I did that. And then I tacked on lifestyle so I could travel the world, go to spas, go to find out things that I would share with women around the world.
What do you? What do you?
So,
Sorry,
so
sorry.
that's how journey that's how do you see that circle? The man believed in me and thought I was good communicator. He thought I was good at beauty, and he said, "This is your journey." And I've used journalism through beauty to now empower women in every way I can.
And what do you think is the one of the greatest misconceptions in the cosmetology industry about black skin and black hair?
Black skin is thicker than black skin is thicker than white skin. That's not true. We have same skin, but we have more oil glands in ours because I presume when God made us, we were meant to be living in a hot country, and so heat with skin, the oil glands would lubricate themselves and help us naturally. The other thing about our hair is that it's not long. If you was to take any thread of hair and stretch it, because we wire, it's curly, it goes in spans, and so if you was to pull it, it grows. They say our hair don't grow. Of course it grows, but it grows in a sort of more afro type of thing than others. So to me, that's the biggest myth.
Hmm.
The two myths that I know that all our skins are oily. Some of us have dry skin, like I do. My grandmother had dry skin. That's why we put the aloe vera on it. But the majority have oily skin.
So as an editor, what did you do to shift some of the misconceptions about black beauty and black hair care?
As an editor, the first premise when I took over was to say that everything and every person we speak to, we must find out something positive about them. So, what are they reading? What are they listening to on their iPad? I didn't just want the interview with a celebrity because she's a celebrity and she's got a new song out. We can go anywhere and find that out. But what I wanted to know is what skincare did she use? What issues did she have? Did she have fibroids, which was one of the things, or does fibroids run in her family? And how does she deal with basic issues? Does she have a bad day? When was the last day she cried? Because obviously this magazine was for women of color, and things like that allowed the person being interviewed to share their journey, their daily life with us. And also, it just added that they were more than just their brand, but they did have a mind that they could read a book, listen to a book on their iPads. Share and caring was still my ethos, and that never differed. Even when it came to clothes, I would say sometimes, try and find something that suits the woman that has more than a size 8 body. Although I know that the designers don't do big clothes, but just try to find them. And then lastly, I needed to find out have motivational things in there. So I got people to write motivational pieces, especially with regard to relationships, because that was the biggest. I found when we put out issues talking about relationships, for example, women who traveled back to the Caribbean and found what they called was their soulmate, and found that they got duped because that person had a wife or a girlfriend hidden in the background somewhere. And sharing stories that would influence the person that is about to embark on that same problem. How do we deal with fibroids? Because our parents hid them. Our mothers and aunties and people like that hid them. They didn't tell people half of their ailments. But in this young generation, we have a thirst. Well, my generation and the generation after me, we have a thirst for knowledge. And so we should share these things, because if you don't tell your children about fibroids and other illnesses like lupus. Is lupus in the family? Is high blood pressure in the family? Is breast cancer in the family? When people like us that are traveled away and they're asking you questions about these things, we really can't answer it. So we don't know if we've got illnesses that are travel down the line. And I think that those are things that you should share. Share with women or people. Today I'm not feeling so good. I'm just a bit down, so that people can feel your need for care and attention. Don't we tend to, as women particularly, bottle up everything and feel we can cope? No, we can't. We have breakdowns like everybody else. We have bad days like everybody else. We don't feel like cooking some days. All these things are what you call normal. So stop trying to be superwoman.
What is your favorite topic to write?
I have too many, Selwyn, but I really do like talking about understanding you. I really do like that. I like sharing. It's like sharing about the journey of not just me but other aspirational women. Because I interviewed Maya Angelou and I asked her questions. I interviewed Terry McMillan, Nina Long, who basically said, "Boy, I could do it a roti." And I said, "Where are you from?" She said, "Trinidadian." And the whole conference went erupted because she wanted me to find her a roti, a bus-up shop. It's about talking, interviewing people and talking to them about things that they can share with other people. I remember Neil Long saying, "My father said when I started earning thousands, that I should still save half or at least three quarter because you were doing without it before and you were surviving. So pretend you don't have it." And I think that's really good advice because the more money we get, the more we spend. The dollar, the $100 becomes $1,000. And so I will share those sort of things. So I spoke to Nelson Mandela, and I share the little things that he would say, and just people along the way. The only person I haven't got to yet is Obama, whether it's Mrs. or Mister. But I will get there, and I will do that interview.
What in particular did you learn um, about Nelson Mandela that while interviewing him, that many people probably will not know or would not have known?
Well, I remember him telling me that he used to write. This is all before he went to prison and when he was sort of a lawyer. But he was writing some heavy stuff, and they used to try and shoot him. So he couldn't sleep in his bedroom because the bullets can go through the wall from outside in the bedroom. He couldn't go to the toilet properly because that again was an outside wall. So what he did was sit in the corridor between the bedroom and say the kitchen and the bathroom, so that there was no visible shadow for them to see, and that's where he would make up a bed and or made himself comfortable to keep on writing and doing what he needed to do. And for me, that was awesome. That was awesome because what that man went through in order to stand up for his people and to show them strength and united force. Certainly, he deserved more than the acclaim that he's got. Obviously, it wasn't just him; it was him and others. But he's the one that I interviewed, and he's the one I know. And yet, he was such a humble man, so humble. I remember when he came to London, and I was about to do the makeup on his face, just for the camera. And he said, with that twinkle in his eye, because he sort of looked up on the left a bit more, and he spoke with that, he sort of smiled with that Chinese sort of look eyes that he had. And he said, "Do you think I need it?" And I said, "Oh, Nelson, not even Mr. Mandela." I said, "Oh, Nelson, do you think you need it?" And he said, "Go on then." And for me, that's the humbleness of such a great man. I love that, and I learned a lot from him. When I went to Soweto, when I went to the prison, and they took us in the place that he just about could stretch his hands out wide, and yet, despite all that, he still stood as a man of strength and a man of power.
Wow. What was your most challenging assignment as a journalist?
Well, most challenging one. Did I have any? Okay, let me use example. Institutional racism. I think that's challenging because everything else I can deal with. I'm a feisty short lady, and I don't take prisoners. I really don't. And but institutional racism was very hard when I felt that the magazine was going places, and it's already been celebrated for 10 years. And I often remember ringing up Chanel at the time and saying, "Oh, hi, I'm Sherry Dixon. I'm searching for, I'm calling in some products because I'd like to photograph them for our page about bronzers." Now, any woman that knows bronzers suit anybody. Doesn't matter which company it's from. It's a sort of brownie or orangey thing that makes you look healthier. And I remember the young girl saying, "Oh, yes, of course. But can I ask you something? Can you send the magazine over to us? Because I don't know of your magazine." Well, the blood went up to my head. 10 years, and she doesn't know Pride magazine. I said, "No, no, 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 no. You need to go and buy the magazine, and you need to go and read about it, and you need to study it, and you need to recognize that we are women who are A, B listed, and that means we have cards, credit cards. It means we can travel. It means we can do what we goddamn want to do. And now, anyway, I'm not talking to you anymore. Put me through to your boss." 2 minute pause, and her boss came on. And she said, "I hear that you're calling us racist." I said, "You are, because let me tell you something. I worked in PR, and I know about the A, B, C's, and D's, and I think right now we're on the G list." And I said, "And if you don't send those products, I am going to write that you're racist, and I'm going to write it in a blank space that says Chanel should have been here. But they said you can't afford to buy their products. You can't. They don't want you to like their products because Chanel is not for you." And she was arguing her point. I says, "Okay, well, we'll see." Within 15 minutes, I'm telling you, from the West End of London to our offices in Battersea, it took 15, 20 minutes, and a bike came with products that were laden around my desk, that I was jumping for joy because I love Chanel. But I was tempted to talk about that in the magazine. So I didn't talk about it, but what I did in my editor's letter was say that we have a choice as women. If you can't see an ad where a black woman is brushing her teeth, that she's wearing sanitary towels, that she's drinking milk, or she's taking out a mortgage, think about the things that we do, then you should write to your bank and say, "Why haven't you got an advert with a woman of colour in there? Why haven't you got an advert with us talking about sanitary towels? Because as far as I'm aware, every woman needs it. Why haven't you got one of us investing? Because I invest in your bank." Ask the whys. Why do you accept these things rather than say it like it is? And I think that was my way of saying, if you guys don't stand up for what you want, I could only do so much, but you need to do some of it yourself.
Why do you fight the fight, Sherry?
Why do I fight the fight?
Hmm.
That's a question. I think I was born to. I believe that I was born to. My grandmother used to. I got told off when I was younger because I used to touch. This is probably at the age 6, 7, something like that. I used to teeth the bakes. and go and take it to the boy at the back. And it's not because I liked him particularly, but I knew they were poor, and I used to pass it through the paling. Even when I came back from England to visit my grandmother, I remember bringing stuff that the neighbours might need, because she used to let my grandmother use the phone. And I remember one day she said she had a toothache, so I bought paracetamol. For God's sake, it's about 20 in a box for £1. And if I can't spend £5 for a woman who will allow my grandmother to cross over and use her phone until she got hers, then that's disrespectful, number one. And how wrong of me would that be? It's about giving back. But I had to learn along the way that I can't allow everybody to take advantage. I do charge for my mentoring now, whereas before I was doing it for free. There's always, but I probably wouldn't charge as much as some of my other people, but maybe they'll be richer than me. But I give back wherever I go. And people like Sonia Noel and lots of people in Guyana could tell you that whenever I come there, I give my time, whether to do radio or TV or whatever is needed to do, and it's not necessarily for money, and it's not for acclaim either, because I already have that.
Sherry, how did you get to interview Dr. Maya Angelou? And is there a question you wish you had asked her?
Well, I got interviewed by, because she was here doing launching her book. I can't remember the exact book it was, but she was here, and so they had speaking engagements with her, and I was invited as well. The magazine was invited, and I remember that the young girls in the office was like, "Who's she?" You know, they gave me all the old ones. Probably that's why what they called old ones, which is why I would have got what is now known as the established people, Angelou, Terry Walker, all those sort of people. I did them, and so I interviewed her the very first time by the phone, and she answered all the questions that and she sounded similar to me, or maybe I'm sounding similar to her, but all the questions that I asked her was about we must do what we can to impregnate, was the word she said, into the minds of others out there, that they are worthy no matter what they have gone through in life, no matter what obstacles they are in life, that they are somebody. And I always remembered that. And one of the questions I did ask her, and it was about if she could be somebody else in life, who would she be? And she said, I would not take back. Obviously, she wouldn't have wanted to be raped and abused in the way that she was, but she said the rest of the journey, each upset, each fall that you bruise your knees and you get back up, when you get back up, is the strength in which you get back up that is going to make you a survivor. Because if you get up crawling, well, crawl without getting up, you're not going to be a survivor, because you're down there. You got to get up and look that devil in the eye and say, "Not today, not today." And that's what I learned from her.
If talking about that, you've just given me a question. If you had to, if there was a movie made of you or about you, who would you want to play you?
If there was a movie that I could,
If
sorry,
if,
say that,
if there was a movie made about you,
yeah.
who would you want to play you, and what particular traits would you like them to get right?
I'd like them to get my fastiness right, because I'm a joker. I laugh and joke, but I don't suffer fools gladly, especially people who belittle others. I despite people who shout at somebody because they're not at the same level mentally, and try to speak down to people. So I don't like that. So if anybody ever said I did it, it's because I knew why I was doing it, because I was trying to tell you you are wrong, so you can feel what you're doing to other people. So yes. I can be feisty, but also I have a heart, and I like to. If I could do a virtual hug to most people that I know, especially the women who have been abused in relationships, women who have people, men and women who haven't had children, had mothers, sorry, had children, but had mothers, because there's a lot of people that have grown up without parents, and that is hard for some people. I'd like to give them a virtual hug, just to say, you know what, we can do this together. I'll walk and I'll hold the rope. I'll have the baton. And you know what? You run behind me, and when I get to the other end, I will pass you the baton. And if I so happen to go up in the escalator, I'll send it back down for you. Give somebody hope.
So who would you want to play you? Which
Which star?
yes would you want to play you in this movie?
Nilo. Near Long, because she has a Caribbean background, so she would understand certain things.
Yes.
And she has the same temperament as me that I saw in her interviews, and I think she would work it for me. Halle Berry would be a little bit American, so I think Neil Long would work it for me.
You spoke about your two sons. In what way or ways did motherhood change you?
Motherhood changed me in the sense that I couldn't be selfish. I
Hmm.
couldn't just buy what I wanted and I couldn't do what I wanted. But I had to adapt and I had to learn that I could do anything with them. And so, even from a very young age, I took my sons with me. When I went to do makeup in theatres for actors and actresses in plays, I took my sons with me, and they saw me making up top people. They learned to drink champagne, well, sip it at a very young age. So when they got older, none of these things were enticing them. Well, I hope not. Were enticing them, and they've both done pretty well. Both of them are in the media, but one in A&R, and the other son is working. He runs his own magazine.
Sorry, I want to ask you a favor. Um, at the beginning of the show, the glitches sort of eat out our time together. Can you indulge us an extra 10 minutes?
Yes, of course I can.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay.
You are, from what I've seen, quite fashionable. What? When did this love of favorite fashion began, and who introduced you to your sense of style?
My grandmother.
Ah,
Because she was a seamstress. No, truly. She was a seamstress, and because she dressed a lot of opulent ladies at the time, she was always sewing. So and we were always basing. So I know what it is to base and backstitch.
mm.
So I think that fashion came from there. And then my auntie, obviously, because she was born of, my auntie was very, I wish that I had the picture here to show you, but she was very opulent as well and went off to America and came back with all those fantastic designs. And of course, she was sending clothes to me as well. So I was dressing quite fashionable at a very young age.
Do you have a favorite designer?
I am at the moment celebrating African Caribbean designers in England,
Well,
because
uh huh.
no matter whether I wore the Jimmy Choo shoes or the Louis Vuitton bag or the Chanel bag, I love to celebrate stuff that is made by my people. Sonia Noel from the Caribbean, from Guyana, is somebody that I celebrate, and I would love to wear her clothes every day if I lived in the sun. So she would be my first Caribbean designer. But because I live in the cold most of the time, then I have African designers who design my clothes for me. And Yemi of Kashiba Creations is one. And then I have, God, I shouldn't be naming names because I'm going to get in trouble. There's but I can say the Caribbean designer Sonia Noah because I love the clothes that she makes me.
Well, I'm going to get you in for the trouble. If you were allowed £1,000 to spend at any clothing store or with any designer, let's go tropical. Who would you spend it with?
That's not good. That's not nice. That's not nice.
Sorry.
I wouldn't spend a whole £1,000 on clothes because I think that if I'm wearing that designer's clothes, she should give me a discount, okay? Because it's going to be seen everywhere on Twitter, Facebook, and blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
So I'll be bargaining with that designer, but I would definitely go with Sonia Noel, and I would then spend the savings on shoes and handbags.
Cherry, I want to ask you this question. I mean, we both know Sonia Noel, but as a fashion editor, an experienced one of that in journalism, how would you describe Sonia Noel's style?
Sonia Noel's style to me is embracing elegance. I love it because it embraces elegance. For me, when I first wore a garment of hers, it made me feel curvaceous. It made me feel super elegant, and I think I walked with pride wearing her clothes. There were other designers, of course, in Guyana that I've worn their clothes and still have them because if I like what somebody's made for me, Michelle Cole made me a dress that I actually love and I've kept it. But Sonia Noel, um, she understands shape, and I like that. I like that she understands no matter whether the person is big, curvaceous, uh, short, she gets it right. That's what I know, and that's what I love about her. And of course, I would be lying if I didn't say that we became friends because there's a natural attraction, a spiritual energy that I felt when I met her. So it's natural for me to communicate and celebrate her because she was the one who said, "I'm going to get you on this show. This is what you should do," and took care of me, particularly when I came to Guyana.
What still surprises you about yourself as a journalist?
The surprises is the length that I'm willing to travel to get the story. Whether it's going to the Kaituo Falls or it's going to South Africa, Thailand. Wherever I go, I look for a story. I shouldn't be doing that and could be quite irritating to any partner that's around me. And my current partner says, "Can we have a break? Can you sign off?" But I realize that I have a thirst for knowledge, and so therefore I share, and people, my friends on Facebook, especially the ones who Junie, who's listening, they would know that I'm always sharing. We must know, we must learn, and we must embrace others as well. Because when, let's say, for example, I share Sonia Noel's designs, so my fan base is not just English. My fan base is international. So that means somebody international will click on her site and might buy her stuff. So it makes whatever I'm promoting worthy and international.
How did being a journalist and life skills speaker, but most importantly a journalist, help you grow as a young woman and then as a black woman?
First of all, it was hard because I think I didn't understand me. I was copying or emulating other people. And I think that you have to find yourself. And I found myself as I started to write. Well, I was always writing beauty, but when I started to write relationship and what you call in your face type stories, that I knew that I was digging deep. And how did I know? I know by the letters that I would get in from women saying, "I really like that article. I like that you told me off, that you told me that was allowed to stand naked and look at my whole body and say, and I know Selwyn's probably dying at this point, but to say, yeah, I look good, I'm awesome, or whatever it is, embracing yourself. That you could look at your face and say, I've got lovely lips, I've got beautiful eyes. And those are the things that women learned from me through my articles. I'd also do articles like, the first man you will ever love is your father. Because in, I would say, 60% of the cases, the man that hugs and kisses you is your father. For some, that's not the case, but I'd write stories like that. And how does your father influence you? The things that he might say about women might either make you like or dislike men. Those are the sort of stories that I got the confidence to write about. And so, therefore, I knew that's when I found my strength and my power. And I've taken that journalistic. Journalism was just writing in words. But now that I'm doing life skills empowerment speaking, I'm saying the same thing, but extremely confident in the things that I say. And even if somebody doesn't agree with me, I accept that they have their opinion and I have mine and I stick with mine.
If you could be somewhere or anywhere special, doing something special with someone special or even by yourself, while it is raining really hard, where would this place be? What would you be doing? And if there's someone there, what would it be? Who would it be?
Sorry, you made that bad laugh came out. The place would be in Queenstown, Georgetown, in my grandmother's house, in the back room that was my room, where I sat on, I think it was a bunk, but I was able to look out of the window. I think I had a stool, and I was able to look out the window. And I suffered with tonsillitis a lot when I was younger. And so I was always at home, especially when it was raining because of the damp. And that room has memories because I was always reading, which obviously is relevant to where I am now. Sorry, can I take some water?
Yes, of course.
I don't want to be spluttering while I speak to you. So that place is the place that has fond memories. Pitter patter on the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose
And
voice? Whose voice are you listening to in your head when you're troubled?
Salvin, it's you that made me choke.
I'm
Um,
so
the
sorry. I
last
am so
que- the last question was like, you notice I didn't answer.
sorry.
And
I
and
was
did you notice I didn't answer the one about
I
men, about who was going to be in the room?
I
Huh.
that is why I asked you this follow up question. I was trying to I was trying to clean things up a little bit. But since you went back there, would you like to answer it, Sherry?
um, I'd like to take my partner with me um, because he's Jamaican
Uh-huh.
and he's never been to Guyana. And I often talk about Guyana. I think that he should come to the place where I grew up, where I went under the stairs and hid and played with my monkey and things like that. That's what I'd like. I'd like him to come with me so that we can do a little bit. Maybe some of the places wouldn't be there, but at least I could talk the journey. I can show him the journey, and he can meet, and he can hear the sounds of the accent of my people, the sing-song accent. I want him to envisage that, to taste the food of many of the people, the different races that is from my country. So he is the person that I'd like to bring, my Jamaican partner.
What can you tell us about you that most people do not know that will surprise them?
Um, that I can cry, and I can cry easily, especially when I'm watching a sad film. Everybody thinks of me as a little toughy, but if I'm watching a film that perhaps relates back to somebody losing their mother or their child, because I lost my mother at a very young age, and so that I cry. I could cry quite deeply. And secondly, that I hurt when with deceit. I don't like deceit.
Mm.
And if somebody hurts me, it might take me a day or two to really gather my senses back. But when I come back stronger. And I will cut you off in a heartbeat if you deceive me. I don't like deceit. So those are the things that maybe they wouldn't know. Um, I've learned to forgive, but I never forget, and those are the two things that I think that
What
they would have to learn about me, and they could also learn that I don't like cooking.
what 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 kind of music calms you down, Sherry?
So just in case they were planning to come to dinner, I cook to eat. I cook to eat. I don't cook all these. I was calling somebody who could cook, and I like the fact that my man can cook too.
What kind of music calms you down?
Soul, sweet
Soul.
soul music, sweet soul, and perhaps even old soul, R&B, old R&B soul, not the soul that somebody from Ghana once told me, "Yo, don't play soul music over here." And I'm saying, "What are you listening to? This is soul," but it's going back to songs that makes you want to sing, songs that make you want to feel good with somebody that you're with.
I hear that.
Songs from the people that could sing.
What do you miss most about being 16?
I miss, well, 16, at the age of 16, I was living in England, but I went back to Guyana, and I remembered wanting to jump on a donkey cart. I remembered wanting to walk without shoes, weird sort of stuff like that, because those are the things that I didn't do or wasn't allowed to do. um, Going to the market and walking around and looking at all the stores that look the same and wondering how do they make money if they're all selling tomatoes. Those are the things that I miss, and I wish that I could be there more often. And although it's a 16-year-old mindset, obviously I've traveled around the Caribbean and I've often walked into markets, and I have walked in the rain, the warm rain, and people have told me you're going to catch cold, and I didn't care, and I did catch the cold. And those are the things to me, the things that I missed out by being in England. And obviously in England I was in the Girl Guides, and I did the things that were expected here, guides, brownies, going camping and learning how to fry an egg without oil. Frying an egg in water was strange.
If you
We
could go
did
back,
it. It's like, whoa. And I learned that I didn't like worms. I hate worms. And so that is still there to now. But those are the things. Oh, and crapos, toads. I hate them. I hate them. And when I go to Florida, they have them there. That's where my family live. And I spend the time with my sisters laughing and screaming in the car before we go into the rooms. So those are the things, if you think about it, that still reflects on the memories that you have from a young girl pelting the crapo or toad or whatever they called it, pelting them, cutting worms in half, and those things that you do when you're back home. Those are things that we did because we didn't have computers and we didn't have TVs. We had the radio, and I think my academic career was built around, and the journalist part was built around having to read and listen to the radio. And those are the things that I wish I could go back in time with no TV, and that's that radiogram, that brown radiogram that we listened to. The lady Mary Stopes or somebody like that was telling us how to make cakes, and Jimmy Clitheroe and all these funny names that nobody probably knows what I'm talking about because they're all too young.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
I would tell my 16-year-old self, you are going to be a an advisor from God, that you have a journey to make, and He's chosen you as one of them, and you need to believe that He's chosen you to be one of them. Because I can't explain to you why I get the connections, a spiritual connection to somebody that I just met once, but I know her story. I can't explain that, but I know that I'm very intuitive. I can't explain to you why I write the articles that I do, why I share the information that I've read. Why do I store them in the first place? Sometimes it seems like I never stop reading. I can't explain that. So my 16-year-old self will say, you have a job to do. So fix up, and learn your spellings and your arithmetic properly.
What are you most proud of?
I'm proud of my children.
And
I'm, I'm proud of my children. Um, I am proud of me. I'm proud of myself because there have been obstacles along the way, a broken marriage. And I say this not because I'm talking my business, but I don't think that you should say the positive without saying the negative. Broken marriages come because sometimes as women, as we excel up the ladder, sometimes our partners don't understand the journey. They feel that you're gonna leave them behind, and maybe they jump before you push them. And those are part of the obstacles, losing a mother and all. Before I was 50, all the older women in my lifeline, so I had nobody to really, when I'm doing well now, I'd like to say to my grandmother or my auntie or my mom about myself, to say, what do you think? Do you think I did well? Did I say that right? Everybody needs somebody, and I needed my family. So I'm proud of myself for the areas that I've got through despite that. I'm proud of my sisters who didn't grow up together, because I grew up here and they grew up in Guyana and then went to the Caribbean, yet we speak with the same language. And that language is instilling core values. We still stand by each other, even though we were brought up separately. So I'm very proud of them. And then lastly, I'm proud of my children because they have done well. They have done extremely well. And it's not just me, it's me and their father. Because I think that sometimes people just don't give men enough accolades, but their father was instrumental in them being who they are. And of course, they're both following me in the media world. So I'm proud of them.
finish the sentence for us. I look forward to Sunday evenings too.
Yeah. I look forward to Sunday evenings too. Wear my big t-shirt, have no makeup on, that I can sit and eat food that my partner cooks for me. Sometimes I cook for him. That I can watch all the soap operas that I've missed during the week because I'm too busy, and to sleep and be at peace.
The last question of the evening I ask all my guests. What makes you laugh out loud?
You,
What?
you. You make me laugh. No, people who are funny, whether it's sarcastic, funny. I like comedy, but what makes me laugh out loud is when somebody talks about themselves and they give you a joke. Like, for example, my friend rang me the other day. Said, I can't believe what happened. I'm rushing to get out the door. I went flying through the door. My shoes went one way, my bottom went another way, and my glasses went everywhere. And I laughed for hours and hours and hours. because we've all been there. We've all done something, walking down the road in some high heel shoes or something, women that is, and your foot twists and you go flying across the road. Or women with their hair, their wigs went in the winter. When that made me laugh. When the wind is going and they forget to pin it onto their own natural hair, and the hat's gone, the wig's gone with it, and they don't know that's gone. Those sort of things make
Oh,
me
that's a
laugh.
funny one. The one with the wigs and the hair flying
The
off the head.
hat and the wigs are gone, and they're still standing there looking at everybody, looking at them, stuff like that.
Sherry, thank you so very much for coming this evening and for staying up so late. I owe you one, I believe.
Yes, 3:20 in the morning.
You know what? You know what, Sherry? You promised not to make me laugh on the show, and
But you can't help it. No.
this is my serious face, and I'm
Okay.
trying my best to close the show without.
Without laughing, hardly likely.
Thank you, thank you so very much. You've been a sport. You've been wonderful and candid, and oh my gosh, what can I say? Everybody says Sherry is fabulous and so kind and warm and friendly, and I cannot doubt any of it. So God bless you.
Thank you, Selwyn. Thank you for having me on my show. On my show, did you hear that? Thank you for.
Yes, I heard you. I heard you.
Yes. No, it's because I'm used to doing that for radio. Remember, I had my own show. But thank you for having me on your show, Conversations with Selwyn. I totally enjoyed the moment, and I appreciate you choosing me as a guest.
You're quite welcome, and I will do it again sometime soon. So
Okay.
get
Thank
some
you,
rest,
Selwyn.
Sherry. Get some rest.
I will. Trust me. All right. Bye.
All right, bye bye.